Chords are just cool. You can play all the hot licks and riffs you want, but a well-placed chord sets the mood and tone for everything surrounding it. I'm Aaron Stang, author of Warner Brothers' 21st Century Guitar Method, and in this video, I'm going to teach you all the basic guitar chords that are the foundation for most of the songs you'd ever want to play. In addition to teaching you the basic chords, I'm going to let you in on a few secrets along the way. These secrets will help you begin to understand how chords and chord progressions are formed. So first of all, let's tune up your guitar, then we'll begin. 6th string E. 5th string A. 4th string D. 3rd string G. 2nd string B. 1st string E. Five basic keys make up 90% of all guitar songs. You can remember those 5 keys with an acronym, which is CAGED, C-A-G-E-D. So the 5 keys are C, A, G, E, and D. We're going to begin with the key of C. Now, remember I was talking about some secrets before? Well, if you understand how major scales are formed, that's kind of the core to understanding all your guitar chords. So I'm going to teach you right now what a major scale is. Major scales are based on a series of half steps and whole steps. A half step is the smallest distance between two notes. Guitars are actually constructed in half steps. Let me show you what I mean. If I play this note right here, which is an F, and go up to the next fret, F sharp, that's a half step. So the distance from one fret to the next fret is one half step. These are all half steps. The distance from an open string, by the way, which is right here, to the first fret is also a half step. Now a whole step is equal to 2 half steps. So a whole step from F would be from here. We go up 2 frets to G, and that's a whole step. So these would be whole steps. 2 frets every time. A major scale is made up of a series of half and whole steps, and it's always that same series, and I'm going to tell you about that. The first thing I want to do, though, is I'm going to go over to this piano over here, because the piano is a very easy way of understanding how major scales are formed. So let's go over to the piano. Okay. Now, don't get scared. You don't have to play piano to do this. I don't play piano either. It's just that the piano keyboard is an excellent illustration of half steps and whole steps. We're going to start right here on middle C. Now on the piano, if you don't know piano keyboard already, you can see there's 2 black keys right here, followed by 3 black keys. C is always the white key before the 2 black. Now, we were talking about half steps and whole steps. A half step is the distance from any piano key to the very next key, whether it's black or white. So from C to here, which is C sharp, that's a half step. From C sharp to D is a half step. A whole step would be the distance for 2 keys. In other words, C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. We're skipping the black key in between. Now here's where it gets really important. Watch this. Here we are on E. We're going to go up a half step to F. They're both white keys. There's no black key in the middle. Okay? So E to F are natural half steps. That's important. F to G is a whole step. You see there's a black key in between. G to A is a whole step. There's a black key in between. A to B is a whole step. Now, once again, we have a natural half step. B to C is a natural half step. Now, if you can just memorize that the only two natural half steps are between E and F and B and C, you'll be able to form any major scale you want. I'm going to show you how right now. We're going to go over to our very, very high-tech digital easel, and we're going to do that. Let's go. Here we are at our high-tech easel. I think Johann Sebastian worked at something just like this, as a matter of fact. Now, we just went over the key of C, the C major scale, so let's take a look at that. C, D, E, F. Fasten that. G, A, B, and C. All major scales start and end on the root tone, which is the name of the scale. And then basically we just fill in all the tones in the middle. Now we were just talking about the whole steps and half steps. There's a whole step from C to D, a whole step from D to E, a half step from E to F, whole step from F to G, whole step from G to A, another whole step from A to B, and it ends with a half step from B to C. This is why it's so important. Every single major scale follows this pattern of whole steps and half steps. 2 1/2, 3 1/2. Okay? If you know that, you can form any major scale. Now you're thinking, well, I bought this chord video, why is he teaching me scales? Because once we understand this major scale, all chords are derived from scales, and all chord progressions are based on scales, and you're going to be able to form all your own chords. It's just going to make things a lot easier. The big thing to really remember and to memorize is that all adjacent natural notes are a whole step apart, except E, F, B, and C. Those are natural half steps. Once you have that memorized, you'll be able to form any major scale you want. As we go through the video, we're going to form a couple more together, and then we're going to send a quiz right to your home, and you can fill it out, and I'll grade it, okay? The only last thing I want to do, okay, before I go back to the guitar, we're going to number these notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. You can always number the notes in a major scale. Now, the three most important chords in any major scale, they're called the primary chords, are the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. In other words, the three most important chords in any key are the chords built off the first note, the 4th note, and the 5th note. A C chord, an F chord, and a G chord are going to be the most important notes in the key of C. Let's take a look and see how those are played right now. If that sounds pretty familiar, it should. That's a basic blues progression, and it only uses the 1, 4, and the 5 chords that we were talking about, the C, F, and G in this case. Those are, the 1, 4, and 5 anyway, are probably the most common chords in any song you're ever going to play. Lots of times complete songs are based on just those 3 chords. Let's learn them now. The 1 chord in the key of C is what? That's right, it's a C. The C chord is played like this. My 3rd finger on the 5th string at the 3rd fret. My 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. The 3rd string is played open. My 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. And the 1st string is played open. Now when you strum the whole chord, you start on the bottom note of the chord, which is the 5th string, and go straight through. We don't play the lowest string, okay? This is a 5-string chord. that's C. Make sure to hold your fingers really straight. They should point straight down at the strings. They should actually they should be perpendicular to the neck. In other words, if you hold your hand at a bit of an angle and your fingers aren't perpendicular, they're going to interfere with other strings. See what I mean? You have to hold them really, really straight and point straight down. That's true for all the chords you're going to play. That's your C chord. Now let's learn the 4 chord. Now what's the 4 chord? Let's go through the C scale. C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4. So an F chord is the 4 chord. F chord is a little infamous on guitar, and if you've never played one, it's going to be a little hard. It's hard for everybody. If you've never played an F chord, it could take you several weeks to really get this down. Don't worry about it. Everybody is like that. Don't be discouraged. 3rd finger, 3rd fret, 4th string. 2nd finger, 2nd fret, 3rd string. Here's the hard part. Your 1st finger lays down flat. We call it a bar. It plays the 1st fret on the 2nd string, and it plays the 1st fret on the 1st string. So with your 1st finger, you're playing 2 strings. That's called a bar. I do it by laying my finger flat across both of them. It takes some strength. That's an F chord. Now, if you're really having trouble with that chord, loosen up on your 1st finger a little and just play the 2nd string. And you'll have a 3-note chord. Until you get the hang of it, within a couple of weeks, you'll be able to play both of those strings. There's your F chord. Okay, the next chord we're going to learn is the 5 chord. All right, what's that? C, D, E, F, G, right? So G is the 5 chord. I'm going to tell you something about 5 chords. They're almost always dominant 7th chords. Not going to get into why right now. They sound better, and they lead very, very well back to the 1 chord. So we usually add the 7th to that 5 chord. So in other words, I'm going to teach you G7. Now for G7, I put my 3rd finger on the lowest string, the 6th string, 3rd fret. Put my 2nd finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret. 4th string open, 3rd string open, 2nd string open, and 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 1st string. There's your G7. Listen to how well G7 resolves back to C. Okay, now I'm going to teach you a simple chord progression. It's an extremely common chord progression. Lots of folk rock, acoustic rock songs are based on chord progressions just like this. We're going to go from C to F, back to C, to G7. Okay, I'll call out the chords as we play. 1, 2, 3, 4. C chord. F, back to C. G7. Back to C. F. C. G7. C. Keep practicing that chord progression over and over again. It'll help you to learn how to move from one chord to the next. Usually playing individual chords isn't that hard. The hard part is changing from one chord to the next in time without kind of having to stop the song. So just practice that and you'll get it right away. Okay, the next 3 chords I'm going to teach you are the secondary chords in the key of C. Well, the primary chords were 1, 4, and 5. Okay, the secondary chords are the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th chords in the scale. Okay, C is 1, so D is 2. That's the first secondary chord, and it's actually a D minor. The 3 chord is E minor, 4 is F, 5 is G7, remember? 6 is A minor. All our secondary chords are going to be minor chords. The D minor chord is It's very easy to play. It's like this. Play your open fourth string, that's D. Place your second finger on the second fret of the third string. Use either your fourth finger or your third finger, whichever is more comfortable for you. I like my fourth finger. On the third fret of the second string. And your first finger, first fret, first string. It's a 4-string chord, so starting on your low D, which is your 4th string, just strum through all 4 notes. That's a D minor chord. Minor chords have a much sadder, kind of moodier sound than major chords. Just for the fun, I'll contrast a D major chord. It's a very bright sound with a D minor chord. Okay? Much sadder sound. The E minor chord is really easy. It only takes 2 fingers. Play your open, low 6th string. That's E. So that's the root of your chord. Put your second finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret. Put your third finger, 2nd string, 2nd fret, 4th string. The rest of the strings are open. Open 3rd string, open 2nd, and open 1st. The chord sounds like this. It's a real nice, rich sound. Now the 6th chord is A minor. Play your open A string, which is your 5th string open. 2nd finger, 2nd fret, 4th string. 3rd finger squeezes in here on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Your 1st finger is on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and your 1st string is open. There's your A minor chord. Notice how sad sounding or dramatic sounding the minor chords are. Now, just like we did with the 1, 4, and 5 chords, we're going to learn a chord progression. Actually, I'm going to teach you 2 chord progressions. So you can play through these chord progressions and get familiar with changing from one chord to the next. The first chord progression I'm going to show you, and I'm going to give you the numbers, okay, is 1, 6, 2, 5. Well, what does that mean? 1 is C. 6 is A, right? C, D, E, F, G, A. 2 is D minor, and 5 is G7. Let's play through that together. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I'll call out the chords. C, A minor, D minor, G7. One more time. That chord progression probably sounds pretty familiar. Half of all the songs written from 1955 to 1959 use that chord progression. The other half use the 1, 4, 5 chord progression. So between those 2 chord progressions, you've got the 50s totally down. One more chord progression. We didn't use the 3 chord in that one. This one is going to use the 3 chord. This chord progression is 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5 chord. What are those? 1 is C, 2 is D minor, 3 is E minor, 4 is F, 5 is G7. Again, I'll call out the chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, C, D minor, E minor, F, back to C, G7, C. Let's do it one more time. C, D minor, E minor, F, C, G7, C. G7, C. Next, we're going to look at the key of G. Now, just like the C scale, all the chords in the key of G are based on the G major scale. All right, well, what's that? Let's go back to our easel, and we'll see what a G scale is. This is where all that stuff I was talking about before is really going to come in handy. Let's get rid of this. Key of G starts on a G, right? Let's just fill in the notes. Whoops. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, I already said all major scales are a pattern of whole steps and half steps. Do you remember the pattern? The easy way to remember is 2.5, 3.5. So we need a whole step from G to A. Is G and A a whole step? Yes. All adjacent natural notes are a whole step apart, except for what? E, F, B, C. A to B is a whole step. Good. Now we need a half step, right? B to C, is that a half step? Yes, because B and C are natural half steps. Now we need a whole step. C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. Uh-oh. We need a whole step. E to F are natural half steps. So what do? Instead of F, we use F sharp, which on your guitar would be the fret after F. Okay? On a piano keyboard, it would be the black key that comes right after F. Now, if we go from E to F sharp, that gives us the whole step we need. We're supposed to end on a half step, and yes, F sharp to G is a half step. How do you know that? Well, if F to G is a whole step, remember, then F sharp to G, which is a smaller distance, has to be a half step. So those are the notes in our G major scale. Now let's number the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What are our three most important chords going to be? Our primary chords are going to be the 1, the 4, and the 5. So G, C, and D are going to be our primary chords. Those are the first three chords we're going to work on. Let's do that now. Okay, the G, C, and D7 chords, those are the ones we're going to work on now. Just to review real quick, what are they? They're the 1, 4, and 5 chords in the key of G. And the G chord is played like this. Put your second finger on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. Now your first finger goes on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. The 4th string is open. The 3rd string is open. The 2nd string is open. And the 1st string is played with your 3rd finger at the 3rd fret. Now strum all 6 strings. That's a G chord. Now while we're on it, I'm going to show you one alternate fingering for the G chord because there are two really, really popular fingerings, and I don't want you to get confused if you see someone playing the other fingering, which is also very popular. For the alternate version of the G, we start out exactly the same. 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the lowest string. 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Open D, open G. Now, instead of playing the 2nd string open, put your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And now place your 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. When you play all the notes together, it sounds like this. Let's listen to the difference. Here's the first version. Here's the other way. This fingering has a very jangly, ringing kind of metallic sound that's very pretty, very popular in like pop rock, folk rock, strumming kinds of songs. You can use either one. The C chord you've already learned, right? Same C chord we learned in the key of C. Now, the 5 chord is what? G, A, B, C, D. And just like in the key of C, we're going to make it a dominant 7th chord. So we're going to play a D7. Play your 4th string open. Place your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Place your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. Now take your 3rd finger, put it on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Now strum all 4 strings. That's D7. And again, just like G7 led back to C, listen to how D7 seems to want to go back to G. Okay, let's play that simple 1-4-1-5 progression that we played in the key of C. We're going to play it now in the key of G. The exact same chord progression, only in a new key. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. G, C, G, D7, G, C, D7, G. Keep practicing those chords until you can move from one to the next without stopping. What are we going to do next? The secondary chords. Now, the 2 most common secondary chords for the key of G are A minor and E minor. Let's go through it real quick again. The 1 chord is G. The 2 chord is A minor. We're going to go over that. The 3 chord is B minor, and we're not going to do that one yet. I'm going to teach you that one later. The 4 chord you know is C. The 5 chord is D7. The 6 chord is E minor. And that's the other secondary chord that we're going to look at. And you know them both already, because we learned both those chords in the key of C. Just to review them, here's A minor. Here's E minor. Let's play the same progression we played in the key of C. We're going to play 1, 6, 2, 5. What is that? That's G, E minor, A minor, D7. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, E minor. Okay, A minor, D7, G. One more time. At this point, you really know enough chords to play a lot of songs, which is about the best way I can think of learning to play guitar. Guitar is not an instrument that you have to take years of lessons on. You can. There's a lot to it. You could become a great lead guitarist like Eddie Van Halen or Steve Vai, or a jazz guitarist like Wes Montgomery if you want. Granted, that takes a lot of practice and a lot of study. But the great thing about guitar is, with like 4 or 5 chords, or even 3 chords, you can play tons of gorgeous songs that you grew up listening to. I think about the best way to learn some of those songs right away is with our Song Express video series. Check it out. The Song Express videos, on each video, one of our artist instructors teaches 4 popular songs. A lot of those songs you're ready to play already. I would suggest checking out the early rock and roll tapes we have, which is all hits from the early 50s and early 60s. Things like Stand By Me, Chuck Berry tunes, old doo-wop ballads. I would also suggest checking out some of the country tapes, Hank Williams, things like that. Those are perfect 3-chord songs, and you can play them. You're ready to play those songs right now. If you can check out Song Express at any of your local music stores, or you can even go online to www.songexpress.com. It's spelled SONGXPRESS, songexpress.com. Check it out. We have lots of videos available, tons of songs for you to play already. The next key we're going to go to is D. I just want to remind you, remember caged? If you're trying to think, remember the keys we're going to work on 5 keys. C, A, G, E, and D. We've already done C and G, now we're going to do D. The first thing we're going to do is review the D major scale. So I'm going to go back over to my digital easel, and let's see if we can form a D major scale. And let's see if I can do it without dropping the easel. So far, so good. Okay. All major scales begin on the name of the scale, D. Let's start just by filling in the notes alphabetically from D to D. So we got D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Now, is it that easy? It's close to that easy. Remember, 2.5, 3.5. Is there a whole step from D to E? Yes, there is. All adjacent natural notes are a whole step apart except E, F, B, C. So that's a whole step. We need a whole step right here. E and F are a half step apart, so what do? Raise the F to F sharp. Again, that's the next fret after F on your guitar. Now we have the whole step we need. Now we need a half step. Is F sharp to G a half step? Yes, it is. Okay? Now we need a whole step. G to A are a whole step apart. Another whole step from A to B. Another whole step from B to C? No. B and C is the other natural half step, right? What do? The same thing we do here. Raise C to C sharp. Whoops. I'm just going to cross out. I started to write a half. That's the whole step we need. 1, 1, 1 half. 1, 1, 1. Now we need a half step from C sharp to D, and that's exactly what C sharp to D is. So there's 2 sharps in the key of D, F sharp and C sharp. Now we'll number our notes. Hope I'm lining them up okay. What are the primary chords going to be? 1, 4, and 5. The primary chords in D are D major, G major, A major, or A7 because it's the 5 chord. What are the secondary chords going to be? Okay, the 2 chord is E. Remember, the 2 chord is always minor, so that's E minor. The 3 chord, F sharp minor. And the 6 chord, B minor. You notice we're not addressing 7th chords. They don't come up a lot in simple songs, but we will take a look at some of those fingerings later. Let's see how you play these chords. The first chord, D. We've already played D minor and D7. Of course, they are related. So for the D chord, play your 4th string open. Play the 2nd fret on the 3rd string with your 1st finger. Now play the 2nd string with your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret. Now play the 1st string at the 2nd fret with your 2nd finger. That is that F sharp that we had to add to make the scale work, right? Here's a D major chord. 4 strings. Now the 4 chord is what? D, E, F, G. We already know how to play a G chord. As a matter of fact, you know how to play 2 G chords. This one or this one. What's the 5 chord? What key are we in? Oh yeah, D. D, E, F, G, A. A is 5, so A7 is the 5 chord. Let's try that. Play your open 5th string, that's A. 2nd fret on the 4th string with your 2nd finger. 3rd string is open. Put your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. And the 1st string is open. Now strum all 5 strings. Just like in all the other chord progressions, I'm going to show you the A7 wants to resolve back to the 1 chord, which is D. See how the 1 chord leads back? Now, same chord progression that we used to learn the primary chords in the other 2 keys, okay? I'll call out the chords as we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. G, back to D, A7, D, G, D, A7, D. Practice that until you can move from one chord to the next really easily. Okay, now let's look at the secondary chords. E minor, F sharp minor, and B minor. Okay, the E minor you already know, right? Good. Now F sharp minor is going to introduce something new. It's going to introduce a full bar. Here's how we do a full bar on the guitar. Take your first finger, lay it across all 6 strings right behind the 2nd fret. Okay? Now the trick is to hold all 6 strings down so that they sound. Now we're going to take our 3rd finger and place it on the 4th fret on the 5th string. It's 2 frets higher than my bar is. Now I'm going to take my pinky, put it on the 4th fret of the 4th string. And I'll play all 6 strings. F sharp minor. It's very pretty. If this bar gives you trouble, if every time you play it it sounds like this, well, that's where we were all at when we learned to play guitar. Just hold on tight to the bar, apply pressure, put your thumb firmly behind the neck, just push it down. It will come within a few weeks if you can't get it right now. Okay, that's the F sharp minor. One more new chord is B minor. The B minor is also a bar chord. Might be a little bit easier because it's only a 5-string bar chord, whereas the F sharp minor was a 6-string bar chord. Okay, bar, again at the 2nd fret, you really only need 5 strings now. Okay, bar 5 strings at the 2nd fret. Put your 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. Again, 2 frets higher than the bar. 4th finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. Now we need one more finger. Put your 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Let's play all 5 notes together. That's B minor. Let's start out by playing that same simple progression we were playing in the other keys. The 1 chord, which is D, the 6th chord, which is B minor, to the 2 chord, which is E minor, to the 5 chord, A7. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. D to B minor, E minor, A7. Again, D, B minor, E minor, A7. Let's do it one more time because these are a little hard. D, B minor, E minor, A7, ending on D. That chord progression didn't give us the opportunity to play F sharp minor, so I'm going to show you one more little chord progression. I think we did this one earlier. It's where we kind of walk through the scale. We're going to start on the 1 chord, we're going to go to the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5 chords, okay? What are they? 1 chord is D, right? D, E minor is 2 chord, F sharp minor is the 3 chord, the 4 chord is G, and the last chord we're going to use is A7. That should sound like this. Ready? Starting on D. 1, 2, 3, 4. sharp minor to G, back to D, A7, back to D. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. D, E minor, F sharp minor, G, D, A7, D, A7, D. Again, work on those chords, get them down, get to where you can switch chords. At this point, you can play lots of songs. Again, I suggest going back, check out our Song Express tapes. Old country tunes, old rock and roll tunes, things like by Jimmy Buffett, John Denver, all those kinds of songs are perfect for these kinds of chords. You just strum and sing, you'll have them down in no time. The next key we're going to work on is the key of A. And just like with the other scales, we're going to come over here and take a look at our easel and figure out the notes in the key of A. What do we start with? Yes, A. Let's fill in all the notes alphabetically. Now, what we got to do is figure out where the sharps go, okay? And we do that with this pattern. A to B is a whole step. You know that already. Now we need another whole step, but B to C is a natural half step. So what do? We raise the C to C sharp. There's our whole step. Next we need a half step. C sharp to D is a half step. C to D was a whole step, so when you shorten that distance with a C sharp, it becomes a half step. Now what do we need? Another whole step. D to E, that is a whole step. We need another whole step. E to F is a natural half step. Put in an F sharp. Okay? That gives us a whole step from E to F. Now we need another whole step. Okay? Well, F to G was a whole step, but we made this an F sharp. F sharp to G is a half step. So what do? We have to raise the G to G sharp. F sharp to G sharp is a whole step, just like F to G is a whole step. They both have gone up relative to each other a half step, so it's still a whole step. How does it end? It ends with a half step. Yep, G sharp to A is a half step. Okay, what are our primary chords? A major, 1, 2, 3, 4. D major, 5 will be E7, right? What are our secondary chords? B minor is the 2 chord. C sharp minor is the 3 chord. F sharp minor is the 6 chord. Let's take a look and see how we play these chords. Okay, the A chord. We've already played A minor and we've played A7. Again, of course, they're very related to each other. A major, there's a couple ways to play this chord. I'm going to show you the way that I prefer, and I'm going to show you a couple other fingerings too, because great big controversy, I know I can say that word, controversy, how's that, on how to finger an A major chord. I do it like this. Play the open A string, that's the 5th string. I lay my first finger across the 4th string and the 3rd string at the 2nd fret. I just sort of push it down on both of them. So I play 2 notes with that one finger. Then I shove my 2nd finger in on the 2nd fret on the 2nd string. Play that note. And that leaves the E string, the 1st string, open. So when I play them all together, they sound like this. That's my favorite fingering. I like to use that. Some people do find it difficult. Here's a couple other ways of playing it. You can play straight across. 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger. Exact same notes as we played before. I'm using different fingers. Okay? The 1st finger's on the 2nd fret, the 2nd finger's on the 2nd fret, third finger's on the second fret. Play all 5 strings. That works pretty well. If your fingers are kind of large and they don't fit in there comfortably, here's another way to do it. Put your second finger on the 4th string, put your first finger in between on the 3rd string, and put your second finger on the 2nd string. That's a good way of squeezing your fingers in if they didn't fit the other way. And last but certainly not least, probably the easiest way to finger this chord is with one finger. Bar your first finger across the 4th string, 3rd string, and 2nd string at the 2nd fret. When you use this fingering, your first finger will interfere with the 1st string and you won't be able to play it. That's okay, it's just one less note in the chord. So that's what the A chord will sound like if you play it without the high E string. Here it is with the high E string. Here it is with this fingering without it. Whoops. Okay? This is, a lot of people feel this is the easiest way and then they just don't play this note. It's actually even possible to play it by bending your finger a lot. You can try that. Okay, 4 ways to play the A chord. The 4 chord is what? Yep, it's D. A, B, C sharp, D. You already know how to play a D chord. The 5 chord, A, B, C sharp, D, E. So 5 chords are always dominant, so it's E7. Play your low E string, 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the 5th string. Now the 4th string is open. Put your first finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. This chord only uses 2 fingers, the other 2 strings are open. Strum all 6 strings. What am I going to show you now? Yep, I'm going to show you that dominant chords always resolve back to the 1 chord. So E7 resolves back to A. See how that works? You're like up in the air, it's unresolved. It resolves to A. Same progression, okay? What is it again? It's the 1, 4, and the 5 chords, starting on A. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to A. E7. Back to A. D, A, E7, A. Let's look at the secondary chords now. A is the 1 chord, B minor is the 2 chord, the 3 chord is C sharp minor. You know the 4 is D, the 5 is E7, I got confused, and the 6 is F sharp minor. We've already learned B minor, that's the bar chord. 5-string bar chord, and we've already learned F sharp minor, 6-string bar chord. C sharp minor, if you can play B minor, C sharp minor is going to be really easy. Let's start with B minor. Remember that? Okay, the root of this chord, in other words, the name of this chord, is right there. It's on the 5th string, it's under my 1st finger. That's the root of the chord. Since there are no open strings in this chord, this is called a movable chord fingering, because if I move my whole hand, all the notes move equally with it. So if this is B minor, well, look what happens. If I move up a half step, I have C minor. And if I move up one more half step, I have C sharp minor. So C sharp minor is right here. It's at the 4th fret. My 1st finger bars 5 strings. I hold down the 4th fret on the 5th string. My 3rd finger is right here on the 6th fret, 2 frets higher than the bar. My 4th finger is right here, again, 2 frets higher than the bar on the 3rd string. My 2nd finger goes on the 2nd string, 1 fret higher than the bar, and I play all 5 strings. That's C sharp minor. The C sharp, the root, is right here. Okay, we're going to play that diatonic chord progression, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 chord progression to learn these chords. Starting on A, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. To B minor. C sharp minor. D. A. E7. A. Let's do that again. A. B minor. C sharp minor. D. A. E7. A. E7. A. Some keys on guitar work really, really well for certain things. And A is a classic rock and roll boogie key. Half of the old Chuck Berry tunes, all that kind of music is in the key of A, or the key of E, which we're going to get to next. I'm going to show you a couple of interesting chords just for fun. We've been playing full chords so far. You know, they're 5, 4, and 6 strings. They're major and minor. I'm going to show you a rock and roll chord. This is called an A power chord, okay? It's 2 strings. Open A. Put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Play that note. And that's all I want you to play. That's an A power chord. The name when we write this in music is A5. Why? Well, it has the root, which is A, and it has the 5th, which is E. Those are the only 2 notes in it, so that's A5. And to make this sound like rock and roll, here's what we're going to do. We're going to alternate between this chord. Keep your finger, your first finger glued here. Don't move it. We're going to alternate between this chord and this one. This is A6, okay? All I'm doing is playing the open A, and I'm putting my 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. Now I'm going to alternate back and forth between those 2. This can be done with a straight rhythm, straight 8th notes. Songs like Johnny Be Good had a straight 8th note rhythm. In other words, or it can be done with a shuffle rhythm, which is really popular in blues. It's a little bit more like this. But that's all I'm doing is alternating from the A5 to the A6. Now, all of these kinds of progressions, these boogie progressions, are blues progressions, which is a 1, 4, 5. Those are the only 3 chords in a blues progression. We already know the A part, okay? So the A chords would all be played like that. When you go to the D chord, you do the same thing, only on the next 2 strings. Play your open D string, put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. That's your D power chord. Now we're going to alternate between that and D6. It's the exact same thing we did on the other 2 strings. 3rd finger down on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. Here's your D6. It's going to go like this. Okay? One last one to learn. That's from the E chord. Same exact pattern totally, only we play it on the lowest 2 strings. Play open E. Put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. That's the E power chord, or E5. We're going to alternate that with E6. Same exact pattern. Here's E6. That's my 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 5th string. And I'm going to alternate. Let's put all 3 of those patterns together into a rock and roll boogie progression, okay? I'll play a little something to lead into it, and then play along with me. I'll call out the changes as we go. To D, A, K, E. A. One more time. A, D, A. Down to E. A. Get that progression down. There's a million songs that basically go just like that. The last key we're going to learn is E, right? That we've completed our cycle, caged, right? C, A, G, E, and D. E is the last key we're going to learn. It's a very popular key on guitar, especially for blues and rock and roll. Let's first take a look at how we form an E scale. Okay, we start with the E note, right? Let's go alphabetically. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Now we have to fill in our sharps. E to F. Those are the natural half steps, right? So we need a whole step. F becomes sharp. Now we need another whole step. F sharp to G is only a half. Let's make it a G sharp. Now we need a half step. Well, G sharp to A is a half step. That's exactly right. Now we need a whole step. A to B is a whole step. We need another whole step. B to C is a natural half step. So what do? We raise the C to C sharp. There's our whole step. We need one more whole step. C sharp to D is only a half a step. Right? Raise the D to D sharp. There's our whole step. To finish out the scale, taking us back to the root, the name of the scale, we need a half step. D sharp to E is a half step. Let's look at our primary and secondary chords. Number everything. Okay, the primary chords are 1, which is E, 4, which is A, 5, which is B. We're going to play a B7. Our secondary chords are the 2, which is going to be F sharp minor, the 3, which is going to be G sharp minor, and the 6, which is going to be C sharp minor. Let's take a look at those right now. The E chord is pretty easy. It's a basic guitar chord. You've already played E7 and E minor, so again, they have a lot in common. Here's E. Play your 6th string open. Now place your second finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Place your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Place your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. A lot of numbers in this. The 2nd string is open, and the 1st string is open. So your E chord sounds like this. The 4 chord is A. Well, we already know how to play an A, right? We know 4 different ways to play this A. What's the 5 chord? E, F, G, A, B is 5. So B7 is the 5 chord. That's a new one. Place your 2nd finger, 2nd fret, 5th string. 1st finger, 1st fret, 4th string. 3rd finger, 2nd fret, 3rd string. Now the open 2nd string. And let's use our 4th finger on the 1st string, 2nd fret. Strum all 5 strings, don't play the low one. 5 strings. That's B7. Like I showed you in the others, B7 should resolve back to E. Let's see if it does. Okay, you feel that? It's like unresolved. It resolves to E. Let's play our simple 1-4-5 progression in the key of E. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. E, A, E, B7, E, A, E, B7, E. Practice that, especially working in that B7 chord because that's new. Keep practicing going from B7 to E. That'll really help you get that down. And what were the secondary chords again? Okay, E is 1, 2 is F sharp, so it's F sharp minor. We already know that. 3 is G sharp minor. Okay, if we know F sharp minor, remember how we moved B minor to C sharp minor? Just by taking the whole chord and sliding it up? Do the same thing. Here's F sharp minor. Again, it's a 6-string bar chord. There's no open strings in it. That means we can move it. It's a movable chord. The bottom note is the name of the chord. That's F sharp. Move the whole chord up 1 fret. That's a G. That makes it G minor. Move the whole chord up 1 more fret. That's G sharp. So there's our G sharp minor. The 6th chord, well, we already said what that is. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, right? C sharp is 6. C sharp minor is the 6th chord. And you've already know that one. It's a 5-string bar chord. Let's play a simple 1-6-2-5 chord progression, that old rock and roll progression. That'll give us a chance to practice the F sharp and the C sharp minor. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. C sharp, F sharp minor, B7. Again, E, C sharp minor, F sharp minor, B7, E. That didn't give us a chance to practice the G sharp minor. Let's play that diatonic chord progression, the one that's going to go from the 1 to the 2 to the 3 to the 4 chord. So that's E to F sharp minor to G sharp minor, right, to A, and it'll also have a B7 in it. 1, 2, 3, 4. F sharp minor. Move it up to G sharp minor. To A. Back to E. The 5 chord, B7, E. One more time, ready? E. F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, E, B7, E. Just like the A, the key of A lends itself to rock and roll, the key of E is the other key that really lends itself to old rock and roll and boogie chord progressions. I'm going to show you how to play the boogie chord progression in the key of E. Very, very similar to how we did it in the key of A, okay? The first part of the progression is based on the E pattern, which you already know. It's the E power chord to the E6 power chord. So it's like this. Now the 4 chord is A. You already know that. The pattern works from A5 to A6. What was the 5 chord? It was B, right? So we have to learn one new pattern to get through the B part of the chord progression. First finger on B, second fret, 5th string, third finger right here on F sharp, which is the 4th fret on the 4th string. That's a B power chord. Now here's a bit of a stretch. We're going to use our pinky to play the note 2 frets higher on the 4th string. That is the B6 power chord. So we're going to alternate right there from B5 to B6. Let's see how it all goes together in an E shuffle blues progression. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. To A. We're back on E. Here comes the B chord. E. One more time. A. A again. Here comes the B. Ending on an E7 chord. So far we've worked on major keys, right? C, A, G, E, and D. Most songs are in major keys, but there are also minor keys. The two most popular minor keys are A minor and E minor, and we're going to review those now. Every major key has a relative minor key. In other words, they're related to each other key. The relative minor key uses the same notes and chords as its relative major. Let me show you how it works. Let's take a C scale. Okay, there's our C scale. Now, if you count up 6 from the root of any major scale, you'll find the root of its relative minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So A minor is related to C major. Let's see how. Starting on A, you've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and A again. That would be an A minor scale. You notice it's the exact same notes as C major, only starting and ending on A. Okay? So what's the difference between the two? They share the same notes, and they share basically the same chords. The difference is this. Remember, whenever we played a 5 chord, we always made it a dominant 7? Let's look and see what the 5 chord in A minor is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. E. Well, E was minor in the key of C. If we make this an E 7th chord, okay, that's going to make the song that we're playing sound like it's in A minor. I'll show you what I mean. In the key of A minor, the first chord is A minor. You already know that chord. The other two really important chords that we're going to learn in this key are the 2 chord and the 5 chord. Now the 2 chord in A minor is the same as the 7th chord in the key of C major, and that's the one we didn't learn, remember? So let's see, in C that would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, right? The B chord in that key is B minor 7, flat 5. It sounds complicated and it doesn't come up a lot in C major, but it comes up all the time in A minor. Here's how you play it. Put your first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. That's B, that's the root of the chord. Put your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string. Put your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Now put your 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Okay, now let's play those all together. That's B minor 7, flat 5. Now I'm not playing any of the open strings. Remember earlier I said I was going to show you those seventh chords? Well, this is a movable chord fingering, okay? And remember, like with our bar chords, any movable chord fingering can be slid up and down the neck, right? If this is B minor 7 flat 5, you can move it up a half step, C minor 7 flat 5, C sharp minor 7 flat 5, D minor 7 flat 5, and so on right up the neck. Let's bring it back to the second fret. So there's our B minor 7 flat 5. The other chord that we're going to use is E7. You already know that chord. Now here's a little chord progression that you can use to practice in the key of A minor. And this is going to help you get down this B minor 7 flat 5, the new chord. This one kind of has a Latin bossa nova beat. It starts on A minor. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. A minor, B minor 7 flat 5, E7. Okay, practice that chord progression over and over. That'll help you get down your new chord fingering, the B minor 7 flat 5. One more minor key we want to look at is E minor. I said that all minor keys are relative to a major key, right? Well, E minor is relative to G. And remember I said you have to count up 6 from the root of the major key? Well, G, A, B, C, D, E. E is the 6th note from G. So again, they share the same notes, and they share most of the same chords. The only difference being that when we're in the key of E minor, the B chord is B7, B dominant 7. When we play in the key of G, we usually have a B minor chord. That's the one chord that's going to separate the two. As soon as you play that B7 tells your ear that E is the root, not G, okay? So, here's our E minor chord. We already know that chord. The one chord that you don't know yet is the 2 chord in the key of E minor, which is F sharp minor 7 flat 5, which would be the 7th chord in the key of G. Okay, F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Put your second finger, 2nd fret on the lowest string. The 5th string is muted. Doesn't really make any sound. How do I do that? I let my 2nd finger lean backwards just enough so that it comes in contact with that string, preventing it from making a sound. Now, put your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. Put your 4th finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. And put your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string. That's F sharp minor 7 flat 5. The F sharp is right here. That's the root of the chord. Now if you want, you can play the 1st string open in this chord. But for now I don't want you to, and I'll tell you why. As long as you don't use any open strings in this chord and just play these 4 notes, guess what? It's movable again. The F sharp is the root, so all we have to do is move the chord knowing what that note is, and we can play any minor 7 flat 5 chord we want. Here's F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Move it up a half step. G minor 7 flat 5. G sharp minor 7 flat 5. A minor 7 flat 5. You can keep going and going up the neck. Let's use that same simple bossa nova chord progression, only now in the key of E minor. The chords were the 1 chord, E minor, to the 2 chord, F sharp minor 7 flat 5, to the 5 chord, which you already know, B7. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. F sharp, B7, E minor. Okay. At this point, you know all the most important chords in all the most important keys on the guitar. Caged, which is your 5 major keys, C, A, G, E, and D, and your 2 most common minor keys, E minor and A minor. With just those chords, you can play almost any song that you want to learn. Check out our Song Express videos for learning all kinds of songs. We have country songs, rock, classic rock, heavy metal, pretty much anything that you want. Now remember, while knowing lots of good chords is valuable, it's not the end goal. The goal is to know and perform the songs you love. The best way to learn chords is in the context of a song that you want to play. So again, I strongly suggest you check out our Song Express series of videos. Each Song Express video features 4 popular songs taught in an easy way that's going to have you playing your favorite songs in no time. There are lots of Song Express tapes available covering everything from classic rock to blues to country and modern rock. Remember, Song Express is available at your local music store and video retailers, or directly from Warner Brothers Publications, or check out the Song Express website, which is www.songexpress.com. Okay? Thank you very much. Enjoy.